श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ओम् ओम्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम्। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणीन्द्ररुद्रमरुतस्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. We have just started the 13th chapter, a very important chapter for sadhakas, that is for spiritual aspirants. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga, Yoga. That is the difference between the knower and the known. This is the topic of this chapter, and there is a first verse which is missing in some versions. Shankaracharya also did not take this verse, but it makes sense to have to use this verse. It says, it asks the Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha Etat Veditumichami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. O Keshava, I want to learn about Prakriti and Purusha, as also about Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And he is very convinced that it must be known. He says, this knowledge must be known, it ought to be known. If we are living in this body, then we need to know where it came from, what is the point in having this body, why we are here, etc. So this question is asked by Arjuna. What is this body that we are using? And why are we here? Is there any ultimate purpose, or is it just that we are just born and then we die? Is there any higher purpose for this body? So this is being answered in this chapter. He says Prakritim. Prakriti means nature, primordial nature. That is the philosophical terminology that is given. Primordial, that means the beginning, in the beginning itself, when the nature was created or when nature was manifested, then it was known as Prakriti. And there is the other principle called Purusha, that is primordial intelligence. Without intelligence, no outcome or no nature can be produced. Therefore, both are behind this universe of our taste, smell, touch, etc. That is Prakriti, that is nature, as well as Purusha, the knower of this nature, the intelligence with which you know this nature. Purusha, according to Vedanta, is the consciousness, the intelligence principle. It comes from the Sanskrit words Puri Shayanat iti Purushaha. Puri Shayanat. Puri means in the city. Shayanat, one who is sleeping or one who is dwelling. Both the meanings can be taken. One who is dwelling in this city. What is this city? Navadvare Pure Tehi. This city has got 9 doors, as it were. The 2 eyes, the nostrils, ears, the mouth, the organ of generation, and the organ of evacuation. These are the 9 doors behind which dwells the Atman. So, what are all these doors for? These doors are for experiences to be taken inside and offered to the dweller or the person who is seated over there. All these offerings are going to the Purusha. While I and you have identified ourselves with these doors itself, the knower of the Atman knows that this body, which has these 9 doors, are only receiving things and then taking it for the experience of the indwelling spirit or Atman, you can say, or the self. So Purusha is the consciousness, he is the intelligence principle itself. And Prakriti is the non-intelligent matter. Without the permission of the Purusha, the indwelling spirit, all these 9 doors will not be able to function. They will not be able to carry on their works. So, Sri Arjuna is asking this question, Prakriti and Purusha. I want to know what is Prakriti, what is nature, and what is Purusha, what is the real nature of the indwelling being or the Atman or the spirit. And then second question he asks is, Kshetram Kshetrajnam evacha. I also want to know what is this term Kshetra and what is this term Kshetrajna. Kshetra means field. This universe is the field wherein we sow our actions and reap the benefits of the actions. This body also can be called as a Kshetra because it is through this body that we carry on all the actions. So it is both individual as well as cosmic. In the cosmic sense, we are sowing the seeds and we are reaping. That means we are doing the actions, performing the actions externally, and we get either good fruits or bad fruits, good results or bad results of it. But ultimately, all of this does not affect the Supreme Self. The body does whatever it has to do, the mind does whatever it has to do. So, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, I also want to know what are these terms, Kshetra and Kshetrajna. One who knows the Absolute is indeed really the one who has achieved to the highest. That is the idea. And the third question he asks is Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. Jnana and Jneya. Jnana means knowledge. Jneya means the object of knowledge. While we study Vedanta, we come across this term called Triputi, that is set of three. Everything is in sets of three. So, jnana, anything that we experience here, has got these three elements. What are those three elements? One is the jnana, that is the knowledge. For example, this table. I try to understand what this table is. Jnana. Oh, this table is used for keeping the books and for studying or for eating the food or whatever it is. Jnana. That is jnana. What is this table meant for? It is for utilization. Jnana. And then there is somebody called Jnata, knower. If the table is just left outside and it is not being utilized, then it doesn't serve the purpose. Therefore, there needs to be somebody who utilizes this. Jnata, the knower of this table. Or somebody has never seen a table, which is very rare nowadays, but somebody has not seen a table and he doesn't know what to do with this. Therefore, one must know what this is, and therefore that there should be a knower. So there is the knowledge, there is the object to be known, and also there is the knower. Behind everything in this universe, these three things work simultaneously. The knower is always there. Separate from it, I know this table. Alright? My knowledge. I is the knower. Myself is the knower. And then I know that this table is made out of wood or whatever metal, and then I utilize it. The arthakriyakaritva, the utilization of it is also there. For all these things, three things are there. Jnanam, Neyam, cha Keshava. Sri Arjuna here is saying, what is it that need to be really known in order for me to become eternally happy, to not have any miseries in this life? What is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to know? That is the question that Arjuna asks over here. Vedanta's aim is to dissolve all these three, jnana, jnaya and jnata. All these three things should be dissolved, and that is called as samadhi, becoming one. You become one with the whole universe. In the case of saints like Sri Ramakrishna or Ramana Maharshi and others, what they did was, they began their life as sadhakas, that means as aspirants to know. They wanted to know, what is this universe? What is this made of? Who is behind this universe? All these questions assailed their minds. And once they came to know that all of these are existent in the divine, and that the divine alone is the essence, all else is of no essence. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Ishwari Vastu or Shab Avastu in Bengali. Ishwar-i Vastu, the real subject or the real thing to be known is the divine. Once you know the divine, everything else becomes known. So what is that knowledge? That everything is filled with consciousness. Some examples can be given. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room and was looking towards the lawn over there, next to his room. And somebody came. He was in an exalted mood of oneness with the divine. And somebody came and trampled over the lawn. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna felt as if somebody is walking on his own chest, and he cried out in pain. So his attendant came and said, "What happened? What happened?" He said, "Nothing happened, don't worry." No, tell me what has happened." "Well, see, I was in that state of absorption with the divine, and I saw this person walking over the lawn, and I felt as if somebody is walking upon myself. That is, I felt that I am one with the grass over there." Another incident, Sri Ramakrishna again was sitting in his room and looking towards the Ganges, the river Ganga. And there he saw two boatmen. They were on their boats, and then they were quarreling with each other. First of all, there was verbal abuses towards each other, and then they could not come into a conclusion, so they started hitting each other. One of them was stronger than the other, and so he gave the other person, the other fisherman, a big hit on his back. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna cried out, said, His nephew Hriday came running and said, "What happened, uncle?" He said, "Well," and then he saw that on his uncle's back there was this palm mark, and that his back had become red. He asked, "Who came and hit you?" So Sri Ramakrishna came down to the normal plane and said, "Nobody hit me, Hriday. I just saw these two boatmen, fishermen probably, they were quarreling with each other, and then words turned into blows, and one of them hit the other, and the other person got this mark on his back, and that mark has been transferred onto myself. So, see, one can become one with the universe. One's pain is my own, other's pain is my own. That's what happens to a knower of Brahman. Becomes one with the universe, one with the whole of existence, as it were. So this is called as Anubhuti. Now, looking at others and say, oh, divine is in you, divine is in the other objects as well. But then experiencing it as one's very own is very rare indeed, but it is possible. Kshetram Kshetrajna evacha etad veditum ichchami. I want to know what this is. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, in the next verse, Sri Krishna answers, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etadyo vetti tam prahu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Idam shariram kaunteya. This body, O son of Kunti, is called the Kshetra, the field, because the fruits of action are reaped in it. He who knows it as his property is the Kshetrajna, or the spirit who knows the field. So say those well versed in this subject. That means the wise people say so. Said this body, Sri Krishna lays emphasis on this term idam, that means this body. See, there is a difference between the Indian outlook and the Western outlook. In Hindi, if I am sick, if I am sick, I will say, मेरा शरीर अच्छा नहीं है. That means my body is not in good order. Or if I am sad, I will say, मेरा मन ठीक नहीं है. My mind is not in good order. Whereas in English, what do you say if I am sick? I'll say, I am sick, I am ill, or I am not well. That is what I say. That means I associate the body with myself as if I am the body or I am the mind. Whereas in the Indian outlook, in the language itself, it says, I am different, I am okay, I am perfectly okay, but this body is not okay, the mind is not okay. This difference is there in our outlooks. Therefore, Sri Krishna is pointing out at this and says, Idam shariram, hey son of Kunti, this body is kshetram iti abhidiyate. This is known as the kshetra. This is known as the field. This field is known as kshetra. Field is that which yields the fruits or results of our karmas. Whatever you sow good seeds and you will reap good benefits. If you sow bad seeds, naturally you will get the outcome is also not that good. Therefore he says, this body is the field, this mind is the field. However much you protect the body, it will undergo decline. It will undergo deterioration. So, the user of the field, the user of this body, the user of the world around us, this world made out of the 5 elements, the user is the self or the Atman, one who knows that the body and mind are nothing but the manifestation of the Panchabhutas or the 5 elements. knows really or knows in essence the truth. See, I can visualize my body. When I visualize my body, generally, I don't visualize my body as a whole. I generally visualize individually. Maybe the heart, if I am initiated and I have been asked to meditate, I visualize the heart center and then install the deity or my Ishta, my chosen ideal, and then I meditate upon it. Or those who follow certain yogic methods, they visualize their eyes or their nostrils or their ears or their mouth or whatever it is, they meditate upon each of them. But they are different parts of this same body. I do not visualize this whole body as one. Very few people I have seen who can visualize the whole body as their own self. In fact, just on a side track, Swami Vivekananda used to say that if you want, I'm paraphrasing it, if you want to be free from the fear of dying, then meditate upon yourself as a dead body, as a corpse. Meditate upon that and you will get a lot of strength, because then you will see that as a mere object. You can then meditate upon it and then you will get a lot of strength within ourselves. That's different. Anyway, so here he says that Kshetram iti abhidiyate idam shariram, this body is the Kshetra. Etat yo vetti tam prahuhu Kshetrajna iti tad vidaha. One who knows this, Kshetrajna is known as the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. And so he says, say those well versed in this subject. That is, the scriptures talk about it, the rishis have experienced this. So you go to those people, go to the scriptures, and you will find this, that you are different from the body, you are different from the mind. So that's a great meditation for us to undertake. The one question that is asked is, well, are there many knowers? I am knowing about this body which I have got in this life. You are knowing about your body. So are there many knowers, or is there only one knower? That is the next question that Sri Arjuna asks, that Sri Krishna answers. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattat jnanam matam mama. Know me, O scion of the Bharata race, to be the Kshetrajna, the spirit in all kshetras, the bodies. The knowledge of the distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna alone is real knowledge according to me. So he calls him Bharata. Bharata means Bha means illumination, or Bha means shining. Rata means one who is actively engaged in shining out or in becoming wise. He is known as Bharata. So all of us who are seekers after knowledge are Bharatas. That means who are engaged in in the pursuit of spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge alone gives us light, alone gives us illumination. So it says, Bharata Kshetrajnam mam vidhi. Know me as the Kshetrajna. That means me here means I am the self in all. Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam hriddeshe Arjuna tishtati. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna confirms this and says, O Arjuna, Ishvaraha, the divine, sarvabhutanam, in all beings, hriddeshe, in the heart, the spiritual center, heart center, tishtati, he is established. He is established in all hearts. He is the one who is the Kshetrajna. He is the one who is knower. So your knowledge, my knowledge, everything, all our knowledge is known by that one Supreme Being. He is reflecting in all these kshetras. He is reflecting in all these fields. So he is there within me, you, and all the objects as well. That's the idea. Ramanujacharya, who also comments upon this verse, he says that your individual knowledge is limited. Your knowledge is limited only to your body, your mind, and your environment around you. But the Supreme Being, the Divine, is the one who is the real knower, who is the real God, who is the real inner controller. Antaryamin, he says, is the real controller, is the Divine. He has given you some knowledge which you are utilizing it. It makes sense, definitely. He has given us some sense out of which we know. But can the knower be known? Vijñātāramare kena vijaniyāt. Can the knower know itself? Can the eye see itself? That is the question, but that Vedanta tries to ask. Can the knower know itself? Can my eyes see itself? No. It can see, of course, in a mirror. That's a different matter. It cannot see itself. So therefore, this question always comes in while we study Vedanta. Can the knower really know itself? Can I know myself? Yes, when it comes to supreme knowledge, when it comes to the knowledge about the self, one can know oneself. I am that. I am the Supreme Being. That knowledge comes from within. Whereas the external knowledge that we get are secondary. They are the secondary details. So therefore, the knower has to know himself. Knower has to know oneself. So, says that knowledge alone is supreme, which makes the knower, or which makes the inquirer the knower himself. That is the idea that has been expressed here. Tat kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. So Western science only considers one aspect of reality. That is the objective world. That alone is real. It doesn't, whatever the five senses can reveal, that alone is supreme. That alone is true knowledge. Whereas subjective knowledge, that is the knowledge of the knower, is not recognized by the Western science. Slowly, probably, they are also coming towards it. That's my firm belief. So, know the knower. That is the dictum that the Vedanta gives to us. consciousness is one, it is singular. Schrödinger, one of the great scientists, he also talks about it. He says consciousness is singular, of which the plural is unknown. Whatever is there is unknown. The real knowledge is the knowledge of my own self. Narada, the great sage, he goes and he has learnt everything. Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotishamiti. Says, I have learnt everything. He goes to Sanat Kumara, the sage, great sage, and says, look, I have studied everything. All the sciences I have known, but yet I am not at peace. Something says that I am lacking something. So, Sanat Kumara tells him, well, you have tried to know everything that is outside of you. You have not tried to know your own self. Go and dive deep within yourself and know who you are. You have learned what others are, but you need to know who you are. We all have got different bodies. We have all the world around us is all different, but we are one in the Supreme Self. That same Supreme Consciousness is being reflected in all of that. Only we need to connect ourselves to that. Just as we connect our house to the grid, though each house will utilize different gadgets and different equipments, but yet one thing that is running through all of them is electricity, electric power. So that same divine power is through all of that, but the size and shape and utilitarian value of all of these might differ. So knowing that one being, which is the source of all knowledge, is the real knowledge. That is what Sri Krishna says here, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. Mam vidhi. That means know me as the knower of everything. If you but can connect with me, if you can connect with me and become one with me, then you will know everything. Rather, you do not have to know anything at all, because you have known everything. The source of all knowledge is within you. That is the idea that is given here. Tat kshetram yachaya drikcha yadvikari yatascha yat sachayo yat prabhavascha tat samasena me srunu. Hear from me in brief. Samasena means in brief. Hear from me in brief what the kshetra is, of what nature it is, what its modifications are, and from what causes what effects, and from what causes what effects have sprung. Also know who the Kshetrajna is, and what his powers consist in. Sri Krishna or the Bhagavad Gita always gives the conclusion in the first one or two verses and then goes on expanding upon it. That is the method that Sri Krishna uses here. So he says, now I will tell you, I have just given you the principles of what you need to understand. Now I will tell you in great detail what is what, who is the Kshetrajna, who is the knower, and what his powers consist in. So that is where we will stop for today, and we will take up this study not next week but the following week, because next week we have our monthly satsang, where we will discuss about the worship of the Divine Mother. Very soon we are going to have the worship of the Divine Mother, Navaratri, Durga Puja, and we will try to understand the significance of mother worship and the different forms of manifestation of that one supreme being whom we call either father or as mother, especially during the next month, that is October. It's a time when we remember the Divine Mother who is present in all beings. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matra Rupena Samstita. I worship that Mother who is in the form of Mother in all beings. Even in men there is the Mother. The Divine Mother is in both the female as well as in the male aspects. So we will study that, or we will try to discuss about that next Sunday from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. followed by lunch. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogibhirdhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanathan.